Excuse me. Alright, well, welcome to my stream. The first stream I've ever done, and this is probably going to be rough because I've not really planned much out. And I've not done this before, so it's a learning experience. Hopefully, the audio is good for you guys. First of all, thank you for showing up here and watching along with me. I'm just going to hang out and kind of try to walk through how I put this project together. The project is, of course, Starmeh. Not crazy about the title, but it was one that I found on a list of potential titles that I had written way back in 2012. So this project is fairly old as far as when I first wrote the script or when I first had the concept for it, but I did not execute it until the end of start executing it till the end of 2020. Basically, I had the opportunity to meet up with some people from Adobe's Character Animator team and decided that I would finally get around to actually making the cartoon in time for that meeting. So I was able to get a rough cut together then and then finish it off in February for the most part, then a couple other tweaks to get it released last March. If you go to starmed.com, it'll take you to atomicgiftshop.com, which is one of my sites where I sell vinyl decals and some other little things. There's a history page here that kind of goes into the history of the project as I finished it up at that point. So again, started in 2013, maybe 2012, but only worked on it in short bursts, once or twice a year. By the start of December 2019, yeah, sorry, not last year, but 2019, all I had basically was the script, a couple of lines recorded from somebody else, and mostly the bridge interior done, and the captain character built in 3D and also built in Moho, although it did go through some changes after that. So if you go to the archives tab, you can see some of the original artwork, and this video here is, I think, from 2016 was when I was pretty much the state that it had been in for a while. Actually, this isn't the good one. Never mind. But here are some of the original drawings, which I then projected onto geometry and then had to bake into, colorize them and textured them in Photoshop. I'll get into that a little bit more later. Let me see if I can find some files over here. Source files. Let's go back to miscellaneous projects, because I know I saw some there. So 2016, I had this 360 test. So here you can see I have, you probably can't see. I should just go to my YouTube page, because it has a lot of the stuff on there. Well, that's not the right one anyway. Let's go to base show. That's the problem. So you can see kind of some tests that I had earlier on. From 2014. So this is pretty much the state of the graphics at the end of 2019. So it's kind of my work in progress. So you can see I did not have the rest of the... I just had like basically a corner of the bridge done at that point in 2014. But then 2016 I had the full bridge basically put together. And if I go back, nope, went too far. As you can tell, I did not really plan this out super well. Now I'm missing something that I saw earlier. Anyway, like I said, basically just the bridge done at that point. Again, if I open up my YouTube channel, you can see some of that stuff. My channel, videos. I have lots of tutorials on Lightwave and other graphics software and some other just experiments done throughout the years on my YouTube channel. So here is from 4 years ago, 2016. This is the state of the art assets when I started working on this project, I think in 2019, the end of 2019, probably. I had probably done a little bit more than this at that point, I guess, but you can see there's the basics are there, but, you know, the textures aren't done. There's only one character, and he, you know, it's not much of a character. So, but that's there if you want to take a look at the old stuff. So, yeah. So, like I said, at the end of 2019, I saw the opportunity to actually give myself a legitimate deadline, something to do. So, I worked on it and got through the first draft. Then took a little break from working on it. Then on January 15th, they announced Adobe announced the first Seattle Character Animator meetup for February 12th. So then I did another push to get it done, and I got all but I think some sound effects and maybe 1 or 2 animation shots done. But I think I maybe even had that mostly done. So that's basically it. It's been a long process from the very beginning to where we are at now, which is the short that I released officially last March. So anyway, this project is a hybrid of Lightwave, Character Animator, Premiere Pro, a little bit of Moho, and, you know, several other things. If you have any questions, if you're here, feel free to ask, because that'll kind of help me and let me know what you want to hear. So feel free to chime in if anybody's here. Otherwise, this will just be up for people to watch in the future. So here we are in my Premiere project. I figured I would start from the beginning, or start and work my way out. So we have the first shot here, which is the intro shot. This is something that I animated in Lightwave 3D.
Repairs are nearing completion after our encounter with a Kardashian cruiser. I still feel a little bad about the way things ended between us, but I really think it was for the best. In hindsight, her complete and utter destruction.
My original idea was not to have a full fly in here, but here's kind of the first gag where we see that, oh, it doesn't look like the Enterprise. It's a big blocky square thing. So, but this is one of those instances, and also another gag with the name of the ship. A couple of them. This is another instance where I decide I'm going to do something simple, but then just make it overall complicated by, hey, I can fly into the window. Why not? So, like I said, that's a combination of Lightwave and After Effects. The ship here is a Lightwave 3D object rendered in 3D in Lightwave with a cutout for the window, or a matte for the window. Also, the background and the planet are in. I think they're in Lightwave. They might not be. I may have rendered that out and used it as an environment in After Effects. I ended up placing some null objects, basically where I kind of wanted these pieces to be, and then I brought a piece of artwork in and chopped it up into pieces and placed it in After Effects to kind of have the reveal of the ship past the panel. In here, it's a After Effects shot, all in interior, and then now we are basically in Premiere and Character Animator land. I wanted to do as much in Character Animator as possible, including the background, so I'd have less compositing to do on the back end. So let me switch over to, well, I'll just explain this timeline a little bit. Then we'll switch over to the other timeline. I have this nested sequence here. This is all of basically the character actions within the scene or within the show, and yeah, they're all inside there. You can see I have an edit here where I decided to tighten something up after I had already animated things and timed things, and then I added in the music and the sound effects. So that's the main function of this timeline. If I switch over to characters, you can see it's a bit more robust or a bit busier. The way I handled this is I have a track. This track, video track 1, is basically the background for most of the shots. Then I have, I don't know what track 2 is necessarily. Track 3 is the captain, just the character animator project, just dynamically linked. Track 4 is the captain again, only this time it's not the character animator project. It is basically the captain's track all rendered out into a movie file, so that way I don't have to, it doesn't have to calculate everything within that shot for the entire length of the show. It's a 6-minute thing, so it would take a little while for Character Animator and After Effects and Premiere Pro to all work together to spit that out. That was just kind of a time-saving thing, was to pre-render that one section. I used the captain as the base for all of the other shots. So going up the timeline, we have on track 5, this will take a little while to load. This is not a real-time timeline at this point, because I basically animated. Well, we'll get back to the workflow in a little bit. So layer 5 would be the science officer, and I still haven't given the captain or the science officer names. Track 6 is gonna be, well, maybe that's still the character. I guess maybe I just wasn't consistent. But I basically have the different characters on different tracks, and sometimes graphics. So, yeah, I guess maybe that's more of the morph character. So, anyway, my green clips are, let me see, Skippy. The green clips are Skippy. And the pink one's a comp. And this one is the science officer. So Morph is in there somewhere, but he's only in a couple of shots. So maybe I just kind of doubled up. But as you can see, if I go over to this shot here, no, looking for one that has both. Everybody in it is what I was looking for, but maybe I won't find it. This red alert here is just kind of a blinking light. But working our way back from here, I'll just take a side trip and just go back to where I started the whole overall process. The overall process was writing the script, then recording the voiceovers, and then editing all of the voiceovers together into what I call a radio show, where it's kind of like a radio play. It's just all of that, and if you can get the story and the timing and everything working out in just plain audio, perhaps leaving room for gags, then I actually cut together an animatic, but I used, let's see if I can find that. It's in source file. Here's the original.
Captain's log, stardate 5/5/25/25. It's a good time for a man to be alive.
Temp opening in Lightwave with no After Effects at all. This is just all the render, straight render. An old version. Yeah, the animatic, I actually just grabbed some shots from the Star Trek animated series and just kind of cut the story together with that.
Sweet, then?
Yes, but we need the power cycle deflection router or the Culver coagulator will not prime.
Can you tell me in plain space English?
We need to turn the shields off and on again.
Is that, safe?
So after that point, I went through, I had to make new characters and flesh things out there. I needed to solidify the background art, all of that stuff. Like I said, I wanted to do everything in Character Animator, or as much as possible. So I have, I rendered the backgrounds in Lightwave and put them into After Effects, and in After Effects I added the blinking lights and put the screens on, images on screens inside the bridge. And then I'm kind of skipping around a little bit. I'm sorry for that, but after that I had basically I made a animatic. I took the animatic and I cut it together with some still images to represent my final shots. As you can tell, this is before I had the other characters built. So I just basically cut between these and maybe overlaid some things. So this is how I actually edited the piece, was I had all of these temporary shots that I was able to use as a template for building the thing. I may have even done this as a multi-channel or a multi-camera edit. I'm not sure. It's been, like I said, it's been a year since I've made this thing. Would not surprise me if I did a multi-camera edit with it, just because that's makes some things pretty simple. So yeah, I'm hearing my audio is a bit low. Is it still a bit low? Is that? I mean, that's my voice. Maybe I'll just get closer to the mic. Anyway, I hope you could hear what I was saying there. Otherwise, I might just upload this later again after fixing the audio. So, any questions so far? I've just basically kind of gone through the history and showed a few clips and also how the workflow started with the script and editing to the audio, adding in some images, some temporary images and some better temporary images. And I don't know how long the delay is between the streaming and the, me talking and the actual stream. So, the next step was to set things up in Character Animator, and then when I had things set up and working in Character Animator, brought the audio in there and had all of the audio as separate tracks for the different characters, so they were all isolated from each other. And then I did all the animation in there, and then replaced the stills with that I had in here. I replaced the stills with the Character Animator project scenes. And then to simplify things, yeah, rendered it out after doing additional animation and sound design. The sound design was the last piece, and I was able to show the project off at the February 12th Adobe Character Animator meetup in Seattle, but I did not have all of the audio done there, and it felt a little flat to me because of that, but I think people still enjoyed it. As I said, most of the animation was done basically basically in December to mid-January, I think. I don't remember exactly when I started, but it was not very long for 6 minutes of animation. It's not, I would say, the greatest animation, but it gets the point across, and I think it's a fun project, a fun show. So let's get into this initial shot. We'll take a look at the at this project. So this takes place in a couple of different programs, like I said. So let's see if I can actually open these things up. Nope, I did want to go in there. Space Show. I, for the longest time, just called this Space Show, was the name of it. Then eventually, like I said, I found a sheet of paper with a bunch of potential names. So, the streaming software I'm using is OBS. I don't see anything. It's like my mic is bouncing up into the... It's getting up into the yellow. I can turn that up some more. But, thank you, Creative. Hopefully that's a little better. So, it's like I sound fine to myself, but that doesn't help you guys. Right. I was opening the After Effects project, and I don't think it opened. Oh, sorry for the whistling. That could get irritating, I guess. Yeah, the streaming software doesn't... the audio is set to 0. But, oh, there's a downmix to mono. That would have been helpful to know. Instead of just broadcasting the entire thing in mono. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be wanting to load that project for some reason. Alright. Let's try loading it the old-fashioned way. Warm project. I was in the right place. Okay. I don't know if this is the intro or not. This is, here's the opening shot. Yeah, this is the main After Effects project. You can see I have... Let's fit that. This 3D scene here, where part of it is rendered, part of it isn't. All of these pieces here are just 2D panels that I can, if I can locate, turn off and on. Well, I can move it so you can see it's a separate piece. The camera and the position of these things were animated, or are imported from Lightwave. I have an interior plate shot, which I don't know what that is. Oh, that's wave. No? Maybe that's just reference. That's just reference. Here's my bridge overview shot. So this is inside the window, is what we would see inside the window. This is a composition even, so there's more inside of that. So this, takes a little while to render, so that's why it's pre-rendered. I have this little hovering communications system here, and that's basically supposed to be a Commodore SX64. I have lots of retro computer references in here. That's just kind of the thing I did. One of the layers of, I guess you could call it comedy. I lost my scene. Oh well. Let's get back to, where is that? I lost the scene. Here's the fantastic animation of the can mass schematic. So many compositions. Actually, it was intro, wasn't it? Intro. Alright, well, that went somewhere. Not sure where it went. You can see I have here different cameras for the, or different compositions for the different cameras. I'll open up the C camera here. I have some, looks like puppet controlled on the science officer. Shrink that. Yeah. Just so I have a little extra life in the scene, I have these guys moving around a little bit, even if they're not animated otherwise. And the captain would be sitting back there, kind of laid over top of this layer. We'll take a look at the screens as well. Like I said, all the screens were brought into After Effects, so those are all in the layer. So this is bridge displays, animated. So this is a kind of like a pre-rendered background. Again, just trying to simplify things a little bit. Let's see. In some cases, I guess I just had the background in there. I just cut these out and put them over top of the captain's background. The captain's layer had most of the stuff on it. And I saw a debris drawing. Here's the layer of all the debris. I just kind of isolated different pieces and spread them throughout the intro. Let's see if I can find that again. One of the last scenes I did was, there were two scenes that I kind of had waited to the end because it was a little more intimidating because of all the effort involved. That was the bridge blowing up and also the captain dancing, because it was more of a online overall thing. I thought I had done this in After Effects, animated this, but maybe I also found it in the Character Animator project, so I guess I animated it in Character Animator. So, again, does anyone have any questions? Well, I don't really, the question was, don't let this interfere with your planned order of subjects, but looking forward to your Adobe Character Animator workflow integration. I don't have much of a workflow planned order of subjects, and I've already been out of order, so it doesn't really matter. I've already gone over the Premiere tracks, and that's what I was going to show after the AE and Lightwave, and I haven't even shown the Lightwave part of that yet, so... yeah, we'll do the Character Animator after some brief Lightwave. I did not use Lightwave. I used Lightwave extensively, but not a lot, if that makes any sense. I'm sure it doesn't. What I mean by that is I did not animate a lot of things in Lightwave. but I used Lightwave to generate the bridge, basically. I used Lightwave to make the sets, and also this character here, this female character. This is based off of the captain's model that I then tweaked. I don't have her animated much, and I think I did animate her in After Effects because it's just basically an eye roll. Because, you know, this is not the most pleasant work environment, shall we say. I don't know if any of these characters are particularly likable. So, obviously the captain is a pompous idiot, and I don't have any other scripts written yet. I've started one, and I wrote down or recorded some ideas for another episode. The science officer I described as primarily having two emotions, one being curiosity and the other disappointment. Yeah, that's basically it. And I have another idea of, had the idea that there's a starship out there where all the command crew went down to the planet on an away mission and got destroyed, so all that's left are the underlings, and for some reason the captain is the one who got to the top. I don't know if that's this crew, but I think that would work as a premise. So I might work that into an episode in the future if I ever get around to doing any other episodes. So I'll show you this here. This is my the hover comms thing. Again, like I said, based on a Commodore 64. I essentially followed the tutorial in the Lightwave manual for doing a QuickTime VR video. So it's just kind of circling around this thing, and I can animate it or pick whichever angle I need to use it with by by deciding which frame to use of this little animation. Again, this was set up in Lightwave. Let me bring up Lightwave just so I can show things in it. And hopefully I can get to that point. Actually, I need to find that. I want to show the interaction between Lightwave and After Effects because I like that workflow. But I need to find which... Was that Bridge? Oh, it was Bridge Overview was the comp. Okay. I'm going to make a duplicate of this. I'll call this demo. Actually, Bridge Overview is the comp inside of the comp that I want to show. So, also to cut down on rendering, there's a shot where I have the wide shot of the ship and the cans flying at it and bounces off the hull. That was animated in Lightwave, but I actually for some of the shots, I only rendered one frame and then, rendered the can separately just so I don't have to render the ship every single time. Probably not a terribly long process, but of rendering, but, why render something multiple times when you only need to render it once? Opening shot, that's what it's called, not intro. Okay. That's the one I want to duplicate for demo. Okay. Here's Lightwave, sorry. Load scene. I'm in the right folder. Opening shot. Proxy 2. So we're into the Lightwave section now. We'll go over a few things here. So here's my camera view from my opening shot. You can see I have that nicely. I'm happy with the angle. I wanted to you know, keep the ship a mystery in the first part of the shot. So we see, oh, here's the classics Enterprise profile, and then it swings around to a frontal view, so you can see that, hey, this thing is made up of boxes. It's not the same profile after all. And I think this is an earlier version because I don't have the top on it. Although we do fly in. Actually, we don't. We stop. This is where we stop. At some point, I decided, hey, let's just fly all the way into the bridge. So this is an earlier version then. So I probably don't have any of the other elements, but I could. Basically, I can take this camera and I can go up to here and to the I/O and send it to After Effects. I don't know if I have the right After Effects loaded. Okay, I do. I'm going to rename this camera to something else. Actually, I'll clone the camera. Then rename it to B, and then do something terrible. Now I can check my settings for my start and end frame, and that should be 1500, I guess, because my timeline is 1500. And then I can send this to After Effects. And if it worked, and it's a demo, so things never work in demos, we'll see. Okay, that did look like it did something. I don't see my second camera, though. But at any rate, if things are hooked up and working properly, then it'll just update whatever camera is there. And it might be doing it, I don't know. But since I named it a different camera, it should have brought in a different camera, so I don't know. Anyway, let's take a look at this scene just real quick. Alright, here's the alpha for the intro. This is basically just the ship. Whatever is white is going to be visible, and I've dropped the resolution so we can watch it play faster. And whatever is black is going to be transparent, so we should get to a point where we can see things. Unless I did that another way. I may have just manually masked it. So, like I said, it's been a year since I've looked at this project. I do have the planet in here as a separate object, and I have the background as a pre-rendered object. So, okay. Okay, thanks, Creative. I will see you later. I will try to have this up online. I'll leave this up on YouTube so you can check out the Character Animator part later. So, have a good night. Okay, so let's go back to Lightwave. Load a new file. Let's do the project. There are the camera angles. We'll show the camera angles. This is something I also used in conjunction with After Effects. I set up the camera angles here in Lightwave. Let's go no to all. We'll have some missing textures. But I rendered each camera as a separate separate location. So I have a bunch of cameras. I did not use all of them, but I can flip through the cameras and you can see here are the different angles I used, or I rendered out. The characters in here are just placeholders. And we don't actually see them in the render. If I turn the renderer on, you can see what it looks like. Might take a little while. Like I said, I was not concerned with optimizing for render speed because I was just using still images basically. And because I was using still images, I was able to just kind of clean some problems up as I saw them. Like this line here where it kind of goes up and to the side instead of straight across. I was able to fix that in post. Also have the screens done as a matte. That's not it, but anyway. And there's my space background outside. So, yeah, all of the camera positions are copied over into After Effects, and in After Effects I added the screens. The other things I used Lightwave for was, like, again, the can animation. I had that flying along, and I actually used a bullet physics simulation to bounce that off the hull. I also used, I think, some particle emitters to kind of get the particles bouncing around at the in the end scene where everything's crashing and all that. So I believe the particles were Lightwave. That way I could have them bounce behind the railing and stuff and not have to mask them out. So, yeah. Let's get over to the character animator stuff. And sorry, I don't have the mic placed optimally, so it's kind of... I'm off mic a little more than I should be. Character animator. If I go to my characters, and I click on this. Now that's the repair droid. There's the pre-rendered. Let's go over here. Reveal in Explorer. Here's my character animator project. Open with, not the beta. Actually, it'll load if I just open character animator. Okay, character animator is loaded. So here's the part that Creative was waiting for before he had to go to bed. So, sorry about that. Did not know you were under a time crunch like that. So, like I said, this is an old project for me, so I don't necessarily remember everything, how it was set up. And this is slow because, one, I'm streaming. Don't know how much of an impact that makes, but also I think the main reason these are slow is these characters are large. They are, let's see, they are After Effects projects, and they're not being rendered as vectors, but they are quite large. Basically, I wanted one puppet that I could do a wide shot or a close-up shot, so that's kind of takes an impact on the CPU. Also the backgrounds. Like I said, I wanted the backgrounds in here, and that also had a performance hit because the backgrounds are basically 4K. So again, they can be wide or zoom in. like I said, I built most of it around the captain, because he's like the main person talking, and we see him in most of the shots. So at the beginning here, we have the voiceover only part, so the animation doesn't matter. Here's the part where he's in the bridge of the Enterprise, and we're going in through that top window.
How are those repairs coming, Skippy?
Skippy's talking. Now we're cutting to him, and he's there. You can see I have the background. The lights are blinking in the background, so not only is it a 4K background, but it's a 4K background with multiple layers. So that makes it more challenging. Again, this is all in Character Animator at this point. Like all of the camera moves and everything, I basically went through and duplicated the camera shots in Premiere that I had. The edits that I made in Premiere, I made them also in Character Animator. I don't remember exactly how I did that. I do remember thinking that having markers being able to transmit over would have been very helpful.
Are there any other ships in the area, or other potential threats on this sector?
Again, I have the audio for each character isolated in its own track, so I only have to process the audio on each one separately.
And I did what I had to do.
And yes, I am the voice of the captain, and most of the characters, only character is Morph, because that's not my deep resonant voice, because I don't really have a deep resonant voice. At least not one that powerful. So, this is the most annoying character, because it's the most like me. Actually, it's the most... I don't have that attitude, so I don't feel too bad. But it's definitely the closest, least put-on voice that is in the show. What I want to draw your attention to down here is this section down here at the bottom. This is the camera section. You can see I have these keyframes here with the solid side with the the flat side on the right-hand side. This is a hold keyframe. This is also found in After Effects. Basically, what this does, instead of transitioning from this point, from this value to whatever is over on this value, it will hold this value until it gets to the next keyframe, and then it'll flop to a different value. And that's what I'm using to switch the backgrounds. You can see here I'm... Can I just key... Nope. I'm like pushing buttons and it's not doing good what I want it. I can... you can see that... Let me turn the camera off. That seems to be slowing things down. You can see my background. Well... Anyway, you can see there it's flipping between one and the other. The way that is happening is I have an opacity that's 100 on this keyframe, and it's 0 here. So now it's showing the layer that's beneath it. So that's how I am switching backgrounds on my characters. I have keyboard shortcuts set up for, or triggers set up for flipping between the directions the characters are looking, and also him sitting and standing. They're separate. I have a separate puppet for him for the dancing scene. It's not much of a dance, of course, but it's a separate puppet for him. Just because it's a different action, so you don't have to do all of your actions on the same puppet. You don't need to have everything working with one puppet rig. You can create a separate rig for each puppet. And here's after the destruction, so different background. Let's go over to a different character. Let's take a look at scene morph fixed, because apparently something needed fixing. Or maybe he's just fixed in place. As you can see, I have the background moving even though there's nothing playing. there's, you know, the timeline's not playing, but I still have the background lights blinking. That is accomplished by having separate animation layers for each one and just using the cycle layer behavior. Let me close up Morph here, and bridge displays camera D animated. That's how I named the that's how I named it. the camera. And let's see. I was hoping it would show up over here, but I guess not. So let's go to the puppet itself. Again, this is not optimized for speed. This is not meant for real-time work. But I have a bunch of different layers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 layers on this 4K image. And I should have a behavior on. I have to go up to here. Yeah. Yep, cycle layers. Start immediately. Advance every 10 frames. Cycle continuously. So basically, it flips through one layer at a time, once every 10 frames, and then just kind of repeats that. And that's how I have the different lights blinking. Is I set up the lights blinking in After Effects and rendered out an 8-frame animation, and I'm just cycling through each layer to give me the blinking lights. I don't have... Let me get back to the project. If I turn on the camera, you can see I have a camera layer here. I don't think it really does much with this character. Let me just flip to Science Officer. I have a transform behavior as well on the character, so that lets me move him around and put him in different positions. Again, I'm using that trick where I have background layers stacked on top of each other, and I'm changing the opacity to switch the layers. I like those blinking lights. I do. I do have a camera in here to switch to a different camera. So we have the close-up and we have the wide shot. Again, that's the same background. It's just, you know, farther back, closer in. So yeah, like I said, I tried to do as much in Character Animator as possible, even though I had to disable things probably to animate smoothly. But, you know, when I'm rendering it out, that doesn't matter. You just turn everything back on and then render it. I don't know what else to tell you in Character Animator other than, let's take a look at the captain puppet, because I do have a kind of a slightly unorthodox way to rig characters. In that it's recommended generally to have... Well, let's see. I was going to say it's recommended generally to have the head be not independent from the body, but apparently I did render it or set it up that way in this case. So ignore that. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put like a neck that goes up here, and I'll put a little tag on the top of the neck and tag that with head so that the body moves with the head, and just put another face behavior on the body. I think Scott Evans from Digital Puppets does that as well. He did a walkthrough workflow video recently, which was quite helpful. Okay. Let's go to the scene again. So again, this is just flipping from camera to camera. So you can see here I have a camera track. So I have a couple different camera positions. Those were set on a on triggers. So those were numbers, like 1 through 9. Can swap cameras. So that's pretty neat. Yeah. Let me go back to check my history. Back to... There we go. Back to where it was before we started mucking around in it today. So I went over how I did the blinking lights, sort of. I didn't show you how I set that up in After Effects, but I did show you how that's implemented in Character Animator. Let's take a look at one of the shots here where it's multiple things going on. Let me zoom in. Again, I did a lot of compositing and setting up of the shots in Premiere instead of After Effects. So again, trying to do things a little more efficiently. This is an adjustment layer. What does this do? Effects. Let's switch my layout view. Apparently, transform? Is that what I had on that? I'm not sure. I can zoom in with it. So I have the Captain movie, which is this. So it doesn't have the front characters in. Then I have a still frame here, which... Oh, that's fitting, I guess. I'm not sure why I use that, other than maybe to clean something up. Here is the scene from the... Yeah, here's a scene from Character Animator with all three... No, this is After Effects. This is that shot in After Effects where I have the characters subtly moving when they're in the shot. So that's from After Effects. The hover cam stills, that's this guy. Why is that not fitting? Oh, I guess it's just too big. That's this guy here floating, and that is actually animated in Premiere, where it's just kind of gently moving up and down. And yeah, I guess that layer is not being used at the moment. So yeah, that's like one of the most complex shots. Don't think anybody else is watching, except maybe one other person. Creative left, so that may be coming close to that. I will say that the sound design, I have not covered that at all. Let's take a look at that. I have to get out of the characters panel and get back to the regular timeline. I may have edited the audio in, I don't remember if I did that in Premiere or if I did that in Audition. I know I recorded the voices that I did using Reaper, but that doesn't really matter, it's just recording a mono WAV file. End shot. Oh, it's the end of the shot. Yes, I wanted to go to the original shot. But let's take a look at this. The can shot. That's just blinking. I think... Can't remember if that flashed. I think that might have been an optical flares flash. It might have just been a lens flare in Lightwave. like I said before, this ship here is just a still image. So, what was I doing? I was looking for the main space show, episode 1, Star Meh. There we go. When I changed views, when I changed layouts, it cleared out all of the things I had loaded. So as far as audio goes, I have sound effects, crash, bricks dropped, rapid fire. I think a lot of these sound effects were from After Effects. Not After Effects, from Adobe. There's a free set of sound effects available from Adobe. At least there used to be. It took a while to download. The music is from... I think it's from Digital Juice. This is the music I used. The actual... I have some kind of synthesizer-y sounds as kind of background noise and beeps and boops and stuff. Those were actually produced by myself, sort of.
I want those shields up.
Just kind of the whole general background drone. Oh, I actually had that background drone in... I may have had that in Character Animator, so it would change with the shots, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, let me see if I can find it again. The sound effects were... Or the synthesizer things were made with an online synth. I don't remember which one it was. I don't think it was this one. But there are a few online synths, and I did actually have I have a MIDI keyboard that I picked up a long time ago for cheap. It's not a great one, but it did allow me to just kind of play on the keyboard and play with a little bit. Let's see, I think since to play with your keyboard and mouse. So there's a lot of fun little toys here that you can play with. I think it may have been this one that I did kind of all the spaceshipy sounds. So this is looking familiar. Yeah, this is the one I used for a lot of the sound effects. So anyway, I hope you found this to be informative and maybe a little inspiring, if not completely utterly boring, me just rambling on and on, trying to figure out what I'm trying to show you. This was not a tutorial. I do have tutorials for sale on Lightwave at liberty3d.com, but I've not produced one in years, so I don't know how valuable that is. I also have a bunch of tutorials, like I said, on my YouTube channel, DW Burman. Since I'm showing everything, we'll also go to the... hold on a sec. Yeah, anyway. Since I did the voices on this, I may as well point out that I have a webpage for doing voiceover work. I don't do a lot of it, but it's danavoice.com if you found any of the voices particularly compelling. My process on doing the voices was generally I read each of the 3 parts that I did. I read them each twice, and I tried to push my voice in as far different ways as possible to kind of differentiate them. But, you know, my voice is relatively fixed or unique. I don't know. But you know, it was fun. Also, like I said, atomicgiftshop.com. That's where the starmeh.com lives. I have some products that I've designed that you can purchase. The kits and collectibles and vinyl decals are things that I produce here in-house. The other ones, the clothing and stuff, is a clothing and accessories and some other art pieces. Those are done through an outside vendor. And yeah, just a few things. If we're going to the talk about Lightwave a little bit, I did use Lightwave to model these things, so there's a little bit of tie-in to what I normally do on this here Lightwave, or this here YouTube channel, DW Burman. I guess in that case, I may as well point out dwburman.com, because this is an old, out-of-date website that I have old demo reels on, because I've not updated my demo reel since 2012 or 2013. But you can learn a little bit more about what I've done there. So, I hope this has been informative and maybe slightly interesting, and I know it's been a bit long-winded, but it's only an hour and not 3, so, like I said, I should probably do a condensed, more organized version of this, but we'll see. So, thanks for watching, and I hope you all